You're watching ABC 7 News at 4, starting with First Alert Weather.
Good afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, and it looks as though Michael is continuing to get stronger and better organized as it moves toward the panhandle of Florida, set to make landfall around midday on Wednesday. It is causing some problems here. Some minor coastal flooding has been reported already. Get a look at the tower webcam, I should say, Holmes Beach, showing the high surf that is rolling ashore now. Some pretty good waves, and those waves are moving all the way to where those lawn chairs are and beach chairs are at times. Looks as though we've reached high tide. It hasn't gone down too much right now. The tides are running about 2 feet above average, and yes, that would be the storm surge that we are experiencing right now. Now we're going to be going into low tide throughout the evening hours, and then another high tide comes around at around 1 o'clock in the morning. Here's the satellite imagery review showing well-organized system right now. It still appears to be open on the southeast corner of that eye wall that you see right there. But the storm system is starting to develop convection all the way around its center, and you can see some of those feeder bands getting close to us here along the coast. We haven't had a lot of rainfall. We'll see some showers and a few storms rolling through the area, especially coastal locations, throughout tonight and tomorrow morning. Here's the latest 2 o'clock advisory. Still the winds just almost Category 3 status at 110. It's moving to the north at 12. That's a good thing as far as heavy rainfall goes. It doesn't appear that it's going to stick around for a long period of time. So as far as that heavy rain goes, it's not going to be like a Harvey or a Florence, but it is going to cause a tremendous storm surge to near the center and to the right of the center, making landfall sometime around noon with winds up to 125 miles an hour and gusts as high as 155. Storm surge height could be as high as 14 feet in Appalachia Bay right there, and that could be devastating for Tallahassee as well, as they could see the eye wall as it makes its way through. As far as the forecast goes, it will race off to the northeast across the Carolinas and producing some heavy rainfall there. Still, the philosophy remains the same. High pressure off the southeast United States and a trough of low pressure approaching from the west will keep this on a northerly course, and then turn to the northeast once it approaches the panhandle of Florida. So we are not in danger of getting this system moving back toward us. Now you can see from the chances for tropical storm force winds have lessened across Manatee County, although we're still under a tropical storm watch for Anna Maria northward. That may be allowed to expire with the next advisory. I don't think it's going to change over to a warning at this point. We will see some gusty winds anywhere from 20 to 25 miles an hour, and it looks like that'll continue overnight. To right now, they're out of the southeast, and that southeast wind means we're starting to see a little shift in our wind direction. It'll become more southerly late tonight and then turn to the southwest tomorrow. Here's the forecast then as we take you through those winds, anywhere from 20 to 25, and then becoming more southerly again tomorrow during the morning, and they'll pick up in pace a little bit as well. We'll still see the potential for some minor coastal flooding, coastal erosion, a high surf advisory. On top of that, rip currents up and down the coast, and occasional shower or a thunderstorm, which has the potential of producing isolated tornadoes. That chance is low, but it's still there. We'll keep you up to date with all that. We'll have a little bit more, too, as to what Michael will be doing in just a little bit. Jacqueline, Scott?
All right, Bob, thank you very much. We're going to take a live look now at Panama City, which is, as you saw on the map there, is a bullseye of this storm potentially. Hurricane Michael poised to slam Florida's panhandle by Wednesday afternoon, threatening dangerous storm surges to low-lying areas ill-equipped to handle them, and officials there are urging people to get out of the way now.
That's right. Michael is expected to strengthen even more before making landfall, possibly as a Category 3. Governor Rick Scott calling Michael a monstrous storm that could bring total devastation in and around the Panhandle area.
Hurricane Michael is forecast to be the most destructive storm to hit the Florida Panhandle in decades. This storm will be life-threatening and extremely dangerous.
Well, today, Manatee County commissioners declared a local state of emergency for the county for Hurricane Michael.
A local state of emergency means that the county can be reimbursed by FEMA if there is any damage from the hurricane. Manatee County says that even though the county is not being directly hit, they want people to be prepared just in case they experience damage from strong winds and storm surge. The county says they have already distributed between 800 and 1,000 sandbags to residents, but as of now, schools are going to remain open and there will not be any shelters that are opening. Coming up tonight at 6, you'll hear from Manatee County and what they have to say as to why people should be taking this storm seriously. Scott?
Well, a storm surge watch is still in effect for Bradenton and Anna Maria Island. Manatee County workers handing out sandbags at 3 locations today. Each one has a truck with an average of 2,000 sandbags ready to be handed out. We talked to a few residents who say their property is prone to flooding in events like this. They were out early, stocking up on sandbags.
We've tried to get sandbags in the past for prior hurricanes, and we always get caught in a giant line. So I thought, since I saw on the news that we have a potential storm surge of 2 to 4 feet, that I'd go ahead and get a few just to be prepared.
With a valid ID, each Manatee County resident can take up to 10 sandbags home from locations at GT Bray Park, Bennett Park, and the Bradenton Area Convention Center in Palmetto. Manatee County workers will be at all 3 locations until 7 o'clock tonight. In central Alabama, Montgomery City leaders say they're getting calls from people in search of safe havens for their livestock. Randy Stevenson at Garrett Coliseum says he's been asked by FEMA to make space available for large animals that need to evacuate areas closer to the coast. He says he's got about 600 stalls available outside the Coliseum and that those animals could start arriving tomorrow.
They're show horses. They're all different classes of horses. You know, the people who just raise horses for sale, and so there's a lot of equine industry out there, and so we are an evacuation shelter for them, and we're preparing with the FEMA and everybody and Alabama Power to get ready for all that.
Stephen says some of the show horses that will be evacuating are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars each. Hurricane hunters are on a mission to help people prepare for these storms. This afternoon, hurricane hunters took their aircraft into the eye of Hurricane Michael. The crew making several passes through the eye wall to collect data that will help the National Hurricane Center better predict the intensity of this hurricane. It's a job this crew does not take lightly. They know the information they gather helps save lives.
That's really the big thing, is just to narrow down as best they can exactly where the storm's going to hit. With the data we get, with the data we collect, goes into their models, ingest into the models to tighten up their forecast to give it the best they can.
At one point today, earlier, 2 Hurricane Hunter aircraft were in the eye of the storm at the same time and could see each other in flight. Now remember, there's still less than 2 months left in hurricane season. Michael may not be the last one we have to worry about. So if you need help preparing, go to our website, mysuncoast.com, look under the weather tab. You'll find a link to our 1-hour hurricane special and our printable hurricane guide. Jacqueline joins us now with the latest resignation from President Trump's cabinet.
Scott, the president has another cabinet position to fill after United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley resigned today. During a meeting at the White House, President Trump announced Haley will step aside by the end of the year. President Trump said she had told him about 6 months ago that she wanted to take time off. Haley said she has no plans, however, to run for president in 2 years.
No, I'm not running for 2020. I can promise you what I'll be doing is campaigning for this one. So I look forward to supporting the president in the next election.
Haley said government officials need to know when to leave a position. Trump plans to name a replacement in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Haley became UN ambassador in January of 2017. Well, President Trump now has his second nominee on the Supreme Court in less than 2 years in office. After an intense confirmation battle, Brett Kavanaugh is now a member of the High Court, hearing his first cases today with the other 8 justices. There was a celebration last night at the White House for the new justice, but for President Trump, it was another opportunity to blast the process that accused his nominee of sexual assault during his high school and college years.
On behalf of our nation, I want to apologize to Brett and the entire Kavanaugh family for the terrible pain and suffering you have been forced to endure.
Kavanaugh says the confirmation process is over and he's not bitter. But for the president and his fellow Republicans, they want to use the partisan fight over Kavanaugh to score points in the upcoming midterm elections. Well, today is your last day to register to vote in the upcoming general election. In-person applications have to be submitted to a supervisor of elections office by 5 p.m., but you can submit an online application before midnight tonight. That deadline has been extended in some counties that are expected to be affected by Hurricane Michael. The ballot will include statewide races for the U.S. Senate, governor, and 3 state cabinet offices, along with 12 proposed constitutional amendments and congressional, legislative, and local contests as well. Manatee County School District canceling tonight's board workshop and meeting. There is a power outage at its school support center. The power went out earlier today because of an issue with the building's transformer. Now, district officials do not think that outage is related to Hurricane Michael. The district plans to reschedule today's workshop and meeting for a future date. Still to come on your Suncoast News, red tide, the topic of conversation once again at the City Council meeting in Venice, why there's new concerns over the algae bloom. Plus, 2 Kentucky inmates are back behind bars after pulling off a Hollywood-style escape that was all caught on camera.
You are the best protection she has. Buddy up. I'm Jill Harrington. Please visit HelpSaveTheNextGirl.com and get involved.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Christmas Traditions by LuxArt Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by LuxArt Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
Your last chance for 2018 Honda Accords on sale is now during our model year-end sale. Drive new Accords for just $249 a month. Get an Accord, the North American car of the year, for less than the competition. With more standard features than Camry, Honda Sensing, multi-angle camera, turbocharged engine, and more. New Accords, just $249 a month. Your last chance for Accords, all on sale this week at your local Honda dealer.
Rugs as Art. You know the name, you know the building, but do you know what's inside? Yes, Rugs as Art is Florida's #1 area rug superstore, but there is so much more. Amazing furniture, accessories, and art. All this and more. Come see for yourself. You'll love our personal touch and be pleasantly surprised by our affordable prices. Rugs as Art and more. There is so much more to explore.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real.
You can recover.
It's possible. It happens every day.
Never give up on yourself.
Discover hope and help.
The world is a beautiful place again.
Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Welcome back now to the latest on red tide. While conditions have improved in Sarasota County, the toxic algae was still on the agenda at today's Venice City Council meeting. ABC 7's Rebecca Fernandez is live in Venice, where city leaders have new concerns about red tide blooms. Rebecca?
Scott, well, the concern is actually about all the fish that were killed because of red tide. The city of Venice was just made aware of a change by Sarasota County about how often they come out here to the beach to clean up those dead fish. Previously, cleanup crews were sent out to county beaches if there was half a cubic yard of dead sea life along a 2-mile stretch of beach. But 5 years ago, the policy changed, and now it takes 5 cubic yards of dead or decaying fish to trigger a county cleanup. That's a 10-fold increase, and Venice city leaders say they had no idea. And tonight at 5:30, I'll tell you what the city plans on doing now, moving forward, to ensure that the beaches are better taken care of for the next big bloom. For now, live in Venice, Rebecca Fernandez, ABC 7, your Suncoast News. Back to you guys.
All right, Rebecca, thank you. And the City of Venice Public Works has closed the walkway out to South Jetty at Tarpon Center Drive due to water washing across the jetty point and creating unsafe conditions for the public there. The Humphreys Park parking lot is also closed because of water. The jetty point will reopen when the conditions there improve. Let's get back to Jacqueline now in the newsroom for a look at what's trending today.
Scott, a young whale was rescued off of the Gold Coast in Australia after being caught in a shark net early this morning. Take a look. It all happened in the waters off of Queensland. Someone walking along the beach spotted the humpback whale calf struggling in the net. The Queensland Boating and Fisheries Patrol was then alerted and dispatched a whale release team. The calf was freed within 2 hours. Now, a spokesperson said at least one adult whale remained close by during that entire operation. Well, take a look at this. It looks like something out of a movie. 2 inmates using trash bins to escape from a Kentucky prison. Authorities say these suspects were rolled out in the bins by fellow inmates. Then they popped out and made their escape from the Louisville Metro Correction Center. Now, thankfully, both suspects were later caught by police, and 3 other inmates are now facing charges for helping those 2 men escape. A massive sinkhole opened up in a Chinese city on Sunday. It swallowed up 4 people as it grew to be more than 100 square feet. The people were just walking along on Sunday afternoon when they suddenly disappeared through the pavement as it collapsed beneath them. Dozens of firefighters were involved in that rescue effort, but however, the victims did not survive. There's no word on what caused that sinkhole. Well, let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan for a look at our first alert forecast this hour. Bob?
Thanks, Jacqueline. We've had a lot of photos sent in to our social media as well as at, mysuncoast.com, pics, P-I-X, at mysuncoast.com. This is from Trailer Estates. We're getting some nuisance flooding going on right now over some of the docks and some of the walkways there. As you can see, this from Cheryl, just taken around 1 o'clock today. High tide was right around 1:30, and it stayed above high tide as far as the water level goes. It didn't recede when it was supposed to, and that's a result of the wind starting to veer more to the south now. We're going to see more of this, I think, at the next high tide, which is just after 1 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. This is at Cortez, too. This is a roadway there, so they're getting some flooding, not from the rain. This is from the storm surge, which has already begun. It's running about 2 feet above average right now. That's the tide. Now, we had a high tide at just around 1:30. That was expected to be around 2 feet. It actually got up to about 4 feet for the high tide around town. And this is from the Casey Key Beach Cam. You'll notice there's not much beach left. Most of the beach, the waves are crashing there. There's some pretty big waves occasionally moving on shore, too. So the waves are only going to get higher. Coastal flooding, a problem, a concern with that as far as the storm surge goes. Coastal erosion, as well as rip currents. A rip current advisory is in effect. I know there'll be a lot of surfers out there this evening. And again, it looks like tomorrow. And it's going to be tough going, so be careful out there. Obviously, you can see this system is getting better organized. Around the center, we're starting to see deep convection now. It's over some very warm water and a very tight eye now. And you can see the completion of this eye wall. And that means the system is more than likely going to be a Category 3 with the next advisory as pressures have been falling throughout the day. Some of these banding features are looking rather impressive. This one just to the south and east of Key West, too. And that's going to be kind of wrapping around. Will it get to us? There's a chance it could later on tonight. Now, as far as the latest goes, 110-mile-an-hour winds, but we're not going to see any of that strong wind here. In fact, I suspect we won't even see tropical storm force sustained winds, although we could see some tropical storm force winds with some bands that move through later on tonight and tomorrow. The gusts are up to 130. It's moving to the north at 12, so it's moving at a pretty good rate, and that's good news as far as heavy rainfall goes, but storm surge is going to be a concern here over the Big Bend area all the way through Appalachia Bay. It looks like right now Panama City or Apalachicola. It could still move either way, right or left here, but right now the most favored area is right there into Panama City as a Category 3 storm, 125-mile-an-hour wind sustained and 155-mile-an-hour wind gusts. This is going to be a devastating storm. Even into Tallahassee, they could see a Category 1 or possibly even a 2 as far as the winds go. You can see all that moisture kind of wrapping around now into the center of this system. We haven't had a lot of rainfall here, but we're starting to see some showers popping up here and there, and that's what we'll see overnight, occasional a shower or two. And you got to look out for these rogue storms. They can sometimes produce isolated tornadoes. The best chance for tornadic activity will be mainly north of Interstate 4, but there is still a slight risk here along west central Florida for an isolated tornado to pop out. It wouldn't be a very strong tornado, but nonetheless, winds 60 to up to 100 miles an hour. Not out of the question with some of these twisters that do form in this kind of an event. And you can see this large area of heavy rainfall moving into the Keys now. The lower and middle Keys are going to see some heavy rainfall and brief periods of some strong gusty winds up to tropical storm force strength. Well, here's the forecast showing the storm and some of the bands making their way through South Florida and coastal locations through tonight and tomorrow morning. And then again, the storm starts to move to the northeast. We'll start to see some of these roll on shore a little bit more so on Wednesday. And then the storm heads through Georgia and eventually through the Carolinas as it picks up speed. And with a little trough of low pressure left behind, so our rain chances will stay elevated even through Thursday. So the rainfall forecast then is calling for up to about 1.5 inches and maybe 2 inches in some isolated areas. So that'll be the case, I think, throughout the day on Wednesday and into Thursday morning. So the forecast is calling for a good chance for showers. Mainly showers are bringing some brief periods of heavy rainfall. Occasionally some lightning will occur. Temperatures will still be rather seasonal into the upper 80s, right around there to near 90 degrees. It'll feel like that. And low temperatures into the mid 70s. But notice a pretty good weekend ahead. Saturday and Sunday looking pretty good with lots of sunshine. Scott?
All right, Bob, thank you so much. A Florida county threatened by the hurricane jokingly warning a national forecaster to stay away. The story coming up.
I'm Linda Carson from Suncoast View. Coming up Wednesday morning live at 9, 82-year-old Frosty the Cockatoo was educated in prison, reached national fame. Now he's retired from starring at Jungle Gardens. But he shows us some really cool dance moves. This is Mental Health Awareness Week, and we're focusing on erasing the stigma of mental illness. And Brick Smoked Meats is in the kitchen. That's all coming up tomorrow morning live at 9.
Blue 32, Blue 32, hut hut. It's the Gatto Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Gatto dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Gatto location near you or visit Gatto.com.
Gatto's got it.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S. and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do.
Call us at 1-800-485-6000. That's 1-800-485-6000.
Or go to mesoonlylaw.com.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't do dialysis, if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Then Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
Hunger is a growing problem in our area, and a huge number of Suncoast residents are suffering in silence.
It could be your coworker,
your child's classmate,
or your friend fighting to secure their next meal. But you can help.
ABC7 is partnering with local organizations to help feed the Suncoast.
Go to mysuncoast.com/hunger to join the fight. Help us.
Help the hungry.
Watch Suncoast View weekdays at 9 a.m. on ABC7.
A Florida county threatened by Hurricane Michael is warning a television meteorologist to stay away. The Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office posting a tongue-in-cheek trespass warning on Facebook for the Weather Channel's Jim Cantori. He's usually on the scene of these major storms, and the office wrote, "Everyone knows what's in store when Jim Cantori shows up, so we issued a little notice, LOL." The warning provides special conditions for non-business related visits only, preferably during the winter months. Jacqueline now in the newsroom with a look at some of the other stories we're working on for you tonight.
Scott, with Hurricane Michael inching closer, there is some hope here on the Suncoast that the storm will move the red tide away from area beaches. Coming up tonight at 5, we'll hear what this hurricane may mean for a permanent red tide solution. And at 6, the Sarasota Emergency Operations Center sharing some hurricane preparedness tips, what you need to know tonight. And at 7, buying a home is one of the biggest purchases a person will make. But it's also when scammers target vulnerable customers. And just a reminder, ABC7 will be hosting the must-watch debate of the season, the race for Congress in the 16th Congressional District, one of the highest-profile races in the country. Both candidates, Republican incumbent Vern Buchanan and Democrat David Shapiro, will face off on Tuesday, October 23rd, right here on ABC7 at 7, moderated by Alan Cohn. And for a chance to have Alan ask one of the candidates your question, all you have to do is submit your questions to @AlanMCohn on Twitter. Let's get a final look at our forecast with First Alert meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Here's a shot of some of the flooding that's taking place out on Holmes Beach right now. This is from Mike Deninius, and you can see this is a secondary roadway there covered with water. There's no rain. There hasn't been any rainfall out there. It's all a result of storm surge, and the storm surge right now is running at around 2 feet, and the projection was 1 to 3 feet. We still have another high tide issue to take care of. It looks like that'll be happening on into around 1:30 in the morning out there. And by then, the winds may have switched around a little bit more south to southwest, and that'll cause some problems. This is Holmes Beach, or Anna Maria Island, I should say. Notice this is the dock. You can normally see this is usually about a foot below that as far as the normal water level goes, but this is riding over the top of it through this afternoon. And you can see no rainfall occurring, but the flooding, nuisance flooding is going on out on Anna Maria Island and on Siesta Key as well as into Venice. So coastal locations are seeing some minor coastal flooding right now, and that'll continue, I think, especially during the early morning hours on Wednesday as Michael continues to get better organized and heading to the north. We'll have an update at 5. Scott?
All right, Bob, thank you. And thank you for joining us at 4. We'll see you again in 30 minutes.